Hello, my YouTube friends. This is the Erudite Brother. This YouTube video is entitled The Truth Regarding Affirmative Action. Affirmative action is a topic that one hears espoused on the radio and on television on almost daily, if not weekly basis. And it seems to be targeted primarily towards black people. And how black people have somehow got an upper hand over whites, over job selection, over selections in higher education, um, or any one of myriads of areas that are in the marketplace or relative to uh, the marketplace and your earning potential in the future. This is something that is a lie, but this is what I'm going to preface this video with. Right now, let's look at what the definition of affirmative action is. Affirmative action, and this is from Wikipedia, so any of you can look this up. Now, if you want peer-reviewed journals, if you want peer-reviewed information, then you can go to EPSOHost, JSTOR, whatever choices that you have available at your higher academic institution, or if you subscribe to any of these search engines that are peer-review related, or if you happen to be a professor or someone who teaches at a higher academic institution. Affirmative action, closely associated with but not synonymous to positive discrimination in the United Kingdom and as employment equity in Canada and elsewhere, refers to policies that take factors including race, so-called race. I haven't seen any Klingons, Ferengis, Sasquatches, alien greys, Centaurians, Romulans, or anything else other than humans on this planet, so race is an amorphous sociological, political construct, my opinion. Color, skin color, ethnicity, really. Religion, sex, that's important. Gender is what should have been put there. Or national origin, into consideration in order to benefit an underrepresented group. Underrepresented, that's important. In areas of employment, education, and business. The concept of affirmative action was introduced in the early 1960s. Note that date. As a way to combat racial discrimination in the hiring process. Note the date. Note this one in particular. And in 1967, the concept was expanded to include gender, so-called sex. The nature of affirmative action policies varies from region to region. Some countries, such as India, and this is really doesn't apply to the U.S., so let's just stop there. So the concept was expanded in 1967 to include gender. Okay. Now what we're going to hit on is the modern feminist movement, which is broken into three waves. And we're going to focus on the second wave of feminism. Go to Wikipedia and you'll see a picture of Betty Friedan, 1960. Second wave feminism identifies a period of feminist activity from the early 1960s to the late 1980s that saw cultural and political inequalities as inextricably linked. The ideas and efforts of this era continue to coexist with third wave feminism. The movement encouraged women to understand aspects of their personal lives as deeply politicized and reflective of a sexist power structure. As first wave feminists focused on absolute rights such as suffrage, second wave feminists focused on other cultural inequalities such as ending discrimination. The purpose of affirmative action was to end discrimination. Betty Friedan, The Mystique and Women's Liberation. In 1963, Betty Friedan's expose, The Feminine Mystique, became the voice for the discontent and disoriented women felt in being shunted into homemaking positions after their college graduations. In the book, Friedan explored the roots of the change in women's roles from essential workforce during World War II to homebound housewife and mother after the war, and assessed the forces that drove this change in perception of women's roles. We're going to stop there. For those of you who have absolutely no idea, and it seems that many who call into radio talk shows in this country, in America, have no idea about affirmative action, who has benefited the most from affirmative action? Who? White women. White women. Let me phrase that. Let me say that very slowly. White women have benefited because white women historically were discriminated against in this country in the marketplace, were discriminated against in this country in business, were discriminated in this country in education. White women benefited overwhelmingly. There are more in population size of white people in this country than there are blacks or Asians or natives or Latinos or any other so-called minority ethnicity in this country. Whites predominate in this country ethnically. White women have been discriminated against in this country historically. Therefore, white women, since they are more in populace and compared to other minorities, have benefited initially because of affirmative action. Okay? So for every ignorant white female out there who feels that somehow a black person has taken your position, if it was not for affirmative action, you probably wouldn't have the position that you've had, and neither would those who followed, who preceded you and are following you. Affirmative action is what has allowed white women to advance in this society. As far as other minority women, if you notice, in regards to affirmative action, it did not say in regards to so-called race that it was only blacks. So Native women, Latino women, Asian women, all women have benefited from affirmative action. This is part one. Part two is next.